Different implant case, an anterior implant case. And this is my second implant video. So if you haven't seen the first implant video, I would recommend watching that one because I will be referencing some of the same tricks and tools that I went into a little bit more detail on in that first video. So after opening it up, I can see here that my 3D rendering, it has a little bit of fuzz around the teeth. I can go again to my 3D rendering tools in this area and increase that up arrow to remove some of that noise. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start in my axial screen, my blue screen, and I'm just going to make sure that I'm at the right height of interest. So right now I'm going to be doing an implant plan on number 8. So I can go up into the maxillary region so I can see where my implants are going to go. I can also put number 8 right in the crosshairs. You can see that I can see the bone width and the length of bone over here, and then I can see it from an axial view right here. This screen doesn't seem to make much sense, and that's because my coronal green line is this slice right here, and you can see that most of that green line is not even in bone, which is why this doesn't look like much. The tool that I went over in the first video, I have the same ability to rotate my fields of view as in any of these screens. So I'm going to go into my sagittal and I'm going to right click and hold down my right click. It gives me my little hand. And I can actually spin the whole angle of this guy to be perpendicular or parallel with my green line. So now when I move that green line right through the bone, you can see that that is the angle I'm looking at. But it's just important to kind of play around a little bit in this green Explorer screen until you feel comfortable with understanding what the 3 lines do and mean. But again, I'm not going to be doing most of my planning in this screen anyway. So I'm going to go from Explorer to Implants. My 2D panoramic doesn't look so great. So I'm going to come over to my panoramic button, my auto fit. I'm going to click that A, and it's going to do a pretty good job at pulling a pano out of it. If I want an even clearer one, I can click on the F, and it's just another tool. It takes a few seconds to give me a pretty clear pano. If I wanted to change any of my screens down here, my fields of view, how many slices I have, and the distance between my slices, all of those features are right here in my wrench. Okay, so if I'm going to start on number 8, I'm going to go into my implant library. I'm going to select an implant. And add to plan. When I'm doing an implant in the maxillary, when I click my implant, it always comes in upside down. So you can see from the extension here. So I'm actually just going to flip this upside down so my implant's right side up and put it into place. Okay. Now as I move my slices from side to side, it'll change where my implant is. So let's straighten this out a little bit. Now I can go into my implant-centric view, and I can change the angulation of my implant, and also its relation to its neighbor. Straighten it out a little bit, and I can double check where my implant is from here. Bone. Okay. So now with an anterior implant, it might be important to put a crown in that area just so I can see where the screw retain hole is going to be. So right up in this area next to implant, I have a crown library. In my crown library, I can select the tooth. So this is number 8. and I'm going to add it to plan. I can select on any, I can put it in the pano or in any of my slices. So I can just click and put it in my slice. I can change the angulation of it, so you need to pull this out a little bit. Okay. Now, don't forget that you still have to account for soft tissue in this area too, but it'll give you a pretty good idea of where your tooth is. Now, if I want to twist this tooth, I can double click on the crown and I have the rotation angle. So you can see as I click, it's going to spin around for me. So I'm actually going to rotate this tooth right almost all the way around. All right. Okay. If I want to change the overall size of my restoration, I'm going to click and hold down Control and Shift. Now when I go up or down with my mouse, it changes the size of my tooth. Okay. And again, I'm not going to spend too much time on making this perfect. The point of this is really just to get a restoration in that area so I could see kind of an overall, get an overall understanding of where my screw is going to be. If I needed to make any adjustments, I could. Okay. So that is how you would use the crown library.